Christoph and I are going to hit these 10 best practices. For each one, Christoph, who his company Mylog has implemented Helion OpenStack, they've gone through a transformation into cloud, is going to share with us his experience in going through that transformation. The point is, remember that you have to build that bridge, and in order for us to drive that point, every single one of our 10 practices will have a picture of a bridge. So pay attention, whenever the bridge comes up, I'd like to see who can recognize it. Everybody ready? Get started? Very good. Come on. By the way, is that London Bridge? No, it's not, it's Tower Bridge. Very good. So the first best practice, as we indicated, comprehensive transformation plan. Do not just focus on one thing. Do not just focus on the infrastructure. Focus on everything. Make it comprehensive. Make sure you're taking all of the items into consideration so you assure success of the transformation. Christoph, in your experience, how did you guys address this? What did you do to make sure that you were taking into consideration a comprehensive plan?
Yeah. So first of all, good morning to everybody. So what we have done, as Mylog as a classical co-location provider was founded in 1999 after adding 2003 our dedicated server and virtual server business. We recognized it was 2012 and said, okay, we have to transform our business, going away from the only infrastructure part with co-location and dedicated server and virtual servers into the cloud services. And this decision was made in 2012. At this step, the first point was that we have had a long time to evaluate what kind of services we want to offer to our customers. And after that, we go into this technical topic because we need a really good technology, a really good base for all our cloud services in the future. And this decision was made in 2003, and we decided to use OpenStack, KVM for the hypervising, and Ceph for the block storage. So this was one of the most important decisions we made, and this is the base for what we are doing now with our cloud services.
Okay, so you get your comprehensive plan, and you were able to proceed on your transformation.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Helix Bridge, right next to Marina Bay Sands in Singapore. Anybody recognize that, by the way? I know that my friend back there does. He knows exactly where that's at. So treat your operation as a business. I think that IT has always been a business, but in reality, when it comes to cloud, more than ever. Why? Because it's so clear that you're providing self-provisioning. People can come to your cloud, they can order services, they have to pay. So now you need to start thinking like a real businessman. What are the services that I got to provide? How is my cloud transformation going to enable me to become a business? And I know that Christoph has some very good points associated with that. Yep. How did you think about that, Christoph? How did you approach the fact that you were going to be a business, that your cloud needed to have customers and get revenue from there?
So after we recognized that it's not enough to deliver infrastructure to our customers in the future, we have to thought about, okay, what will be the right services we want to offer to our customers? And we spoke to a lot of them. We spoke to our internal customers, like sister companies and our own employees. We spoke to our external customers, and we tried to find out in which direction they want to deliver, or they want to go, and which were the right services for that. For us, as we are not such a big company, we are more than 60 employees today, but for us it was also important to have our feedback from our employees, because it's very important that you have your employees and your stakeholders on the track, and also with the decision in which direction the product goes, because it's a very high advantage if your employees and also your internal customers are familiar with the product way in which direction you go, so that they also can use the kind of service, the cloud service you will offer to your external customers, because they can deliver better support and a better understanding of the product if they really are familiar with it, what you're offering in the future.
Excellent, so a clear idea of the service I'm going to provide. I'm a business, I need to get revenue from this, I'm very clear on that. Excellent. Number 3, Falkirk Wheel, Scotland. I think a lot of you are from Europe, so I'm assuming that you must recognize some of these. So, share compelling case for transformation. The undertaking of a transformation is no minor effort. You're going to need a lot of help, you're going to need a lot of cooperation from a lot of people. That's going to require, at the very beginning, a compelling case, and not just a compelling case that is going to be beneficial, but a shared compelling case. So you need to make sure that you have ample support from your organization when you undertake this. Christoph, how did you approach this? I mean, obviously, you have a number of people in your company, you have shareholders, et cetera. How did you approach making sure that you had a compelling case that everybody could rally behind?
Yeah. So it's not so easy, and it was not so easy in 2012 and 2013, because at this time, and it's still the case, our existing business does very well. So there were no needs or no urgent cases to change the business. But you have to come through, because you have to explain and answer the questions from the stakeholders and even from the shareholders why you want to do this transformation process. And you have to find or to give the right answers to all of these questions, that everybody understands what you want to do and why you want to do this, because your existing business is still working fine. So you have to really sure that you want to go this track, because it will take you years to do it at the end. And if you're not convinced on the first day, and you cannot answer all the questions at the beginning, it will be very hard to get all the people on the track to move on, because it's not, in 2012 and 2013, it was not necessary to do that.
Good point.
Yeah.
And I really like the last one that you had over there when you and I were talking. Everyone must be convinced that starting a transformation is the right choice, because otherwise you're going to wind up getting into trouble later on down the road.
Yeah.
So that's a very good one. I like that one a lot. Okay, the fourth one, moving over to Asia. Wind and Rain Bridge, Chengyan, China, beautiful bridge. So, comprehensive cloud transformation team. So your plan, not only does the plan need to be comprehensive, but you need to make sure that you have a comprehensive team. I can't tell you how many times I participate in some of these efforts, and the customer really hasn't involved anybody else from the company. You typically focus on the technical people, but you're not considering all of the other people in the company that also need to participate in the team, in the effort. And then we're fighting and we're trying to figure out, well, who's supposed to do this? How come finance hasn't been notified? In some cases, you need supply chain to be involved. So you need to consider the fact that it's a comprehensive team. You need a number of people helping you do this to do it right. How did you guys approach this in Mylock, Christoph?
So at our company, we have 7 departments today, and all of them were on this topic at the first time. The reason for that is we also decided to use a complete new automation platform for a complete company for using all of these cloud services, because you have also to think about how you make the transparency for the customer, how the resources are measured, how it's billed to the customers. And for that reason, everybody was involved. It was the billing department, it was the sales department. They have to think how to sell these new services. The billing department has to think about how the invoices will look like, how the transfer is made to the customer. And the virtualization department, of course, the core of this, what virtualization and what the cloud business does today. And also the infrastructure part of our company was on track and has had a lot of questions, because it was a lot of change in our infrastructure was going on. So every department on the first day, because it belongs to every department what's going on, and they have all the different views on the topic and give a really fundamental input for us for going on this track, because they have all their own perspective, and with their perspective, this was very important feedback and information for us to have them on track, to build the right product, and to get it really good in place.
Excellent. And I really like the other one that I like here a lot is this last one, only.
Yeah.
And this is what he stated. We had a lot of time to talk about this presentation to get ready. And Christoph, great experience, some great ideas. Only if you have every part of your company on board will your cloud transformation effort be a success. Do not take that statement lightly. I completely agree with it. So you do need to go through the effort of making sure that that is the case. And obviously, this dovetails into the comprehensive plan, right? It also dovetails into the compelling case for doing it, because the only way that you're going to get this comprehensive team and everybody to understand it is if you've done your homework, you've come up with a comprehensive plan, everybody understands their part in the project, and you have a compelling case that makes everybody think, yes, this is something worthwhile for us to move forward. And I'm sure that that's what you had created in order to be able to get this team behind and rally behind that effort.
Yeah.
Very good. So number 5. This is the Stari Most Bridge. Beautiful bridge in Bosnia-Herzegovina. Effectively manage stakeholders. So in my experience, this is something that is extremely hard to do, and you need to pay attention to it. As time goes on in your effort, the people that you have involved in your project will diverge. People will be worried. People will be concerned. They will wonder, how are things coming along? Is this the right thing that we did? And you need to make sure that throughout the process you're taking into consideration all the stakeholders that are involved in this process. If you don't pay attention to that, you will have problems as you move along the transformation process, trying to then bring back the people who have deviated away from your goal because you didn't really keep them in the loop and understanding what's going on. In my experience, from a vendor perspective, we wind up spending a lot of time trying to corral those people who first were part of the effort, but eventually diverge. And Christoph, I know that you have some pretty good ideas and concepts. How do you guys handle this in Mylock? How did you make sure that throughout this transformation effort, which lasted quite a while, you were able to manage all these stakeholders on a regular basis?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, there are our departments and the team leaders on the departments were at the beginning of the project involved. So it was good to get good experience and their point of views, but it was also an interesting thing to manage that. Because if you hear every voice and do everything what they want, you will never get ready to the market. So you have to manage this to define together the target you want to go to. But you, as a management, has to make sure that you are focused on the target that you want to reach and the timeline. Because if we are out of track if you hear on every invoice and there are changing directions, and you have to make sure, and we have done this with weekly meetings with all of the team leaders to review what has happened, are we on track, are we not on track, what we have to do to be back on track, and this for a very long time. So it's important to have the stakeholder on track, to hear their opinions and their ideas about where it should go, but you have to manage all this and put it on the right way, on the right roadmap, and to make sure that everybody is convinced to that and they're focused on the target you want to reach.
And Christoph, I love the way that you said that, managing them. You have to actively manage those stakeholders. You have the vision, you have the goal, we have the comprehensive plan, you know the target, you know where we're headed, but you have to actively manage those stakeholders to get them over there. Yeah. I really like the last point that he has up here. Give your stakeholders a voice and ownership in the transformation process. I can't emphasize how important that is. Give them that ownership so they feel that they're part of it and they're contributing to it. Right, Christoph? Yeah. Very good. Let's move on. Number 6, anybody recognize this one? This one here is my favorite bridge. This is, in the southern part of France, is the Millau Viaduct. If you ever have an opportunity to see how this bridge was built, check it out. It's absolutely fascinating. So, number 6, communicate effectively and purposely. In my years of experience of doing this, I can't tell you how many problems we could have avoided with simple, succinct, pointed, brief communication. The absence of communication will create so much problems for you that you will spend all your time trying to do all of these other things that we were talking about, corralling the stakeholders. So think about your communication. One thing that I would do, in all honesty, I would approach a team and I would have them think about and study up on proper, brief, pointed communication. Who needs to know what? When do they need to know it? And how can I give them that information in the briefest, most comprehensive manner possible without writing an entire book or an entire paragraph? Many times with these emails going around, they're huge emails, nobody's reading them, nobody knows what's going on. That creates problems. So the ability to communicate effectively and purposely is key in the success of these. How do you guys handle this in Mylock, Christoph?
So as we have had our team leader on board, they were mostly responsible for the communication into their teams. But it's such a long journey, you have to decide on which time you communicate which thing. Because you don't want to give some promises on what we will do and what we will deliver to our customers in the future with a timeline if you're not convinced to that and if you're not sure that you can hold this timeline. Because your complete team, a complete company is waiting for that, and if you're, and I mentioned that here, it's on the list, if we're out of track and it happens too often, they lose their trust into that you will reach this goal.
Good
and
point.
There will be situations where you think, okay, this will never work and it takes too long, we will never go to the market, it becomes really hard. And for this reason, you have to be careful at which moment you will communicate. You have to communicate in general, and you have to communicate the overall target. But from our experience, you should not communicate to all of your employees and to your customers, external or internal, not to all really exact timelines and exact products if you're not 100% sure that you will reach them. Yeah?
Very good.
Because there will be the points where you believe, okay, that will not work.
Yeah, that's great feedback, and I can tell that you had some struggles, you had some experiences, and you're bringing to us, the wisdom from that those learnings. So thank you very much for that. That's really good feedback. Okay, number 7, moving back into Asia, the Aisho Kaiko Bridge in Japan, absolutely beautiful bridge. So establish a baseline on that technology. So what are we talking about here? It is very interesting in our industry how things really don't have specific definitions. Have you realized that? I bet that if I asked every single one of you, what do you understand by cloud? We get one different definition. Now, let me ask you this. Is it a good idea to go into a project with 20, 25 people thinking that your goal is completely different than everybody else's? Absolutely not. Because at the end, you're going to say, we delivered our cloud, but you're going to have all these other people saying, no, you didn't. That's not what we were expecting. So you want to avoid that. So one of the most important things that you can do is at the very beginning, baseline. Understand what it is that we're talking about. We're going to deliver cloud. Exactly what does that mean? What does it mean to have a cloud? We're going to have automation. We're going to have virtualization. We're going to have self-service. That's what we're talking about. Baseline the technology, make sure that everybody understands what it means and what it's going to be able to provide. And I know that you and I have some really good conversations, and I think that you have some really good points as to how you achieve this in Mylock, Christoph.
Yeah. So from my perspective, at this really, really, really fast technology-changing world, it was a risk to take in 2003 to use 1 year for evaluating the technical solution we want to go on. We spent a lot of time and have a lot of look and tested a lot of things, and then we made this decision which is now in place, and also in place with Helion, and we made the decision before Helion was there, I say. And it is really important that you have the right technology base for delivering the cloud service. If I'm not 100% sure what exactly software as a service services we will deliver to the market in 2060, but I'm for 100% sure that I have the right base for that with the HPE Helion OpenStack, that I can run the applications I want to deliver to the customers on this base and this technology stack. This is an important thing, because even if you have to think about it, the first step, what products you will want to deliver, you cannot make 100% sure how your cloud portfolio looks at the end. But you can make sure what kind of services you want to offer, and to make the decision which technology is the right one to be flexible enough to offer these services at the end. And this was a really, really, really important point, and where we put a lot of time with our stakeholders together in testing and having a look, because even OpenStack is an open source project, and Ceph too, and so we have to look in the past into the communities, how they're going on, is it for the future, for the next years the right decision? So yeah, this is one of those really interesting steps, and I'm very happy about that it seems that we have made the right decision in this.
That is excellent feedback, and one of the things that he's saying that I want to underscore and make sure that everybody understands is that technology doesn't lead anything. I hope that nobody here heard me say that. Technology doesn't lead anything. What leads everything is the service that you're providing to your customer, and that's what he's saying. And we've captured that here in the last bullet. We ensured that we had defined the services we wanted to offer first, then selected the appropriate technology. Once again, in my experience, I have seen many customers fall in love with a certain technology. We want this particular technology, that's what we're going to install. But once again, the stakeholders, the users, it turns out that you're not providing them exactly what they wanted. So you do need to take the time up front to understand what are the services that I need to provide. What is it that my customers want, my internal customers, my external customers? As Christoph, they did extremely well in Mylock. They got that understanding first and they said, this is what we want to do. Okay, now let's go ahead and look for the technology that's going to help us enable that. So once again, never let the technology lead you. Identify the services and then choose that right technology that will support those services. I think that is one of the most critical points that we could make today. All right, next one. Number 8, anybody know this bridge? No. Nobody from Italy here because this is Ponte Vecchio. Oh, Italiano. Ponte Vecchio, Florence, very good, beautiful bridge. All right. Define how to measure success. So we're gonna do all this work, we're gonna spend all this money. How are we gonna know that you did what you wanted to do? How are we gonna know, or how are your customers, or more importantly, your bosses, going to know that you achieved the goal that you intended to achieve? You have to define how it is that you're going to measure success, and you want to be upfront about that, right? So whenever the effort has concluded, you're able to say, yes, we are doing what we intended to do. So you want to make sure that you understand how it is that you're going to define success and how you're going to measure it. Christoph, how did you handle this in Mylock?
So we spend a lot of time in talking with our existing customer and with potential customers to get their impressions and what they think, what cloud services are interesting for them. But, and you get a lot of different input in that. But there is the interesting and important thing that you make the right decision for you, which services you want to start. Because you cannot start with every services you're requested for. And you get the input from the customers and from the potential customers, but you have to make the decision at the end how your cloud portfolio looks like. And this is really important because you cannot fulfill every wish. You have to make the first step and make the decision how your cloud portfolio looks like and reach as much demands from your customers as you could. This is what we have done.
Excellent. And once again, this session, I believe, being so powerful because, I mean, I can stand up here and I can tell you from a vendor, well, this is what I think, but once again, we have somebody who has actually done it, who's actually gone through the pain and the experience, and his nuggets of wisdom, I think, are extremely important. And the last one that he has there, with this knowledge, we measure our success by our ability to deliver on those services. So you see how everything comes together. You have your services defined, you know who your customers are, now you can say, that's going to be my success if I can meet the expectations of my customer. Yep. And that's what you guys are doing, so congratulations to you, very good work. All right, getting now towards the end, number 9. Anybody from Portugal? All right, Vasco da Gama, Lisbon. Once again, another beautiful bridge that gets you from state A to state B, right? So use a phased approach. Once again, over my experience, I see a lot of customers that say, you know what, well, this is great, we're excited, we want to go ahead and do this, let's just go ahead and deliver all of this wonderful and great stuff because you're excited, you feel that you can do it. Do not do that. Do not do that. Take your time, take small steps, look for the low-hanging fruit, demonstrate capability, demonstrate success in steps. Start small, where you know that you can deliver the most success, and then build from there. Always, always use a phased approach. And I know that that's exactly what you guys did at Mylock. Can you share a little bit on how you use that approach, Christoph, please?
So yeah, we started with the products where the most customers asked us for. It was the cloud storage and the cloud backup product. And these are the 2 software as a service products which are still in place now and can be ordered at our website, mylock.de. In the next step, and all these products are delivered by our HPE Helion OpenStack farm. But in the next step, this year, we will also deliver our public cloud product based on HPE Helion OpenStack, compute nodes, storage nodes, to be ordered on our website, to be configured very flexible, because we spend a lot of time into the pricing model for this public cloud product to be the right way and be much flexible. a lot of more time than we have to spend into the software as a service product, because this is very easy for billing and accounting topics. And at the beginning of next year, we will add to our public cloud a private cloud, because we see a lot of demand and a lot of customers asking for private cloud solutions where they can scale into public cloud from a German data center, from our data centers, a very interesting thing. And then we will go on building our software as a service portfolio more and more. Up to 10 services next year. 2 services are available today, 10 services next year. But as I mentioned before, I'm not 100% sure what exactly the additional 8 services will be. 5 are for sure, but 3 we are still struggling and thinking about and talking to the customers what will the last 3 will be.
Very good. And at each phase you're learning, right? You do one thing, you learn from that, and then you move to the next phase, you get a little bit better, and you learn from that. And in the end, you wind up having a much better product because you had all of that experience to deliver the best possible service at the end.
Yeah.
So I really like the way that they have done that, the way that they have approached that, and they're having a lot of success by following that. I have seen a lot of companies struggle because they went ahead and they tried to do something really big, then they started having all kinds of problems, this wasn't working, that wasn't working, and they did not meet with the same kind of success that Mylock has been able to meet with. So good words to remember. All right, so I think that we're getting here towards the end. So now, and I didn't do this on purpose, but in honor of my co-host in Germany, this is the Magdeburg Water Bridge in Germany. Very impressive. The fact that we can have bridges where you actually have ships crossing is pretty impressive. So, the last best practice, manage perceptions and expectations. So this is like really important, I think, and it's the ability to bring everything together. At the end of the day, as he indicated, you have the vision, you have to manage everybody, all the stakeholders, the vendor, your customers, and bring them all together. This is an art, and those who can do it right are the ones who are going to have the most success. Christoph, how did you handle this?
Yes, so this is the time where we are now, and the real most interesting one, to see all the time we spent on the past, to see if it's now on the market, if it really is the right product for the customers, they will order it, they will consume it, they will use it. And this is where we have our expectations and our targets, and will be measured, all the orders, how long stay the customers on the product. And it's a very, very interesting thing. Is ordering is one thing, selling something is one thing, but the consumption of the product, so how really impressive, or how is it used? Is it really used day by day, hundreds a day? So this is a really thing, and we have to measure how the products are used to know if we have really matched it or reached the goal to find the right product for the customer. It's not only selling, it's to look how they consume it. They really use it day by day.
Excellent. So now, to terminate, to finish up, just to leave you with some thoughts from a couple of British philosophers that you may have heard of. If you say you get a real solution, well, you know, we'd all love to see the plan. So always remember, make sure you have a plan, build your bridge, be successful. Please visit the rest of the exhibitions. If you have any questions for us, we'll be right here. Thank you very much for coming over here and listening to us.
Thank you.